Hello guys, it's Ginto again. Back to the root of today. Much of the people, they are waiting for this kind of the califragistic and very phantom minute for me to come out and talk about how the things are going to be coming today. Today is today, tomorrow going to be another day as we are framing and making things to have happened. It has rained already and the climate is now climatizing. As you can just check on the environment right now, it's booming. And here we are just starting this kind of the video, very fantastic, and to this kind of the position of my home to make sure that everything is coming to you live, one-on-one. If you're first time you're watching this kind of the video, thank you very much for you subscribing, liking and sharing, and consider by subscribing, and also so as you can just group together as a team and we make it happen. And much of the people who are always watching and being tuned and already are following and making sure they're going to be getting from one panel to another to make sure that everything is a solidarity and solidials and to this kind of the fantastic area. So today guys, we had much of the phantom minute for me to discuss about what has come out and what is really coming out as a solution. Because today I was invited to make sure that I'm going to talk about the assets of my father, talk about the plots that we are having, and also to check about my fish ponds, where they are being located, so they can just make sure that everything is getting to the brim point and everything is just handled very fantastic. What is getting to this kind of the phantom minute is that we had a very good talk to make sure that we are solidarying and making sure everything is put in a very proper channel. My father was no longer available because he sent me to make sure that we are handling much of the things very equal, because I was there being bought and I was there checking about the signing. I was there to make sure that everything is just fantastic. All the talk about the plots that have been listed, I was there and I was just checking, but during that time I was still I was available. I was available, but I was working in the catering and premises work to make sure that I'm cooking very fantastic food to much of the Europeans. So today we had an engagement and I was a little bit scared, talking about, oh, am I going to have this kind of the moment here? Or am I going to have this one here? But whenever things was going, and today already, I'm just telling you this as a fact. Much of the people are always talking about, you understand whenever a person needs something and he has done it wrong, because I told you that I don't have much of the things to alliterative talk about, oh, I have to force this one, I have to force. No, the way they talked about, they're going to be using the law. I'm going to be using the law also to make sure there's just moving them closer and moving them closer and closer. And they could just come and call me to make sure that everything is put in a very good, fantastic, because I was told that we have just given them some 1 week. If it could not be favorable, I should just take over everything from that kind of the position. Talk about the sugarcane plantation and everything gonna be having. I will just take over the game, because they don't want to pay whatever they just had agreed, because already we have the letters that we agreed about leasing that kind of the land. And what is now coming on is I've got another plot which is around the Master KG's area, which is straightforward. It's just pointing to the compound of talk about Master KG, and to make sure that it's whenever you're just onto that kind of a plot, you can see everything onto that kind of talk about in that kind of the compound, how everything is looking like. And also that kind of a plot is facing direct to the bedroom of where Master KG is sleeping with Argentina longnose. So you can understand the real fact about what I mean. They need that kind of a plot with an immediate effect, because they were talking about going to be building A-shaped Airbnb, I don't know what and such kind of the thing. And what is always coming, who told them they cannot build? And the good fact is it's just located in a good environment, whereby even me, whenever I'm going to be constructing their house, it's going to be very fantastic. Talk about the view of the compound, the view of whatever is just doing there. So whenever you're just seated and califragistically walking, you'll talk about, oh, Master KG is there, now he's waking up, now he's doing that. So it's a plot that he ever wanted. by force, by force, by force, by force. But whatever comes out is it's the one that he ever forced me, and I just never wanted it to come out. And he told me that now, if you don't want to sell me this kind of the land, so he started now hating me, so as he can just make sure that he's throwing me out of the compound. And who has started that kind of a hate was coming out from the conman. And that is the real fact, which is making much of the things not to occur very fantastic. I can just remember the first time when they planted sugar at that kind of mice asset there, the conman was the one who was making sure that before even the sugar, they were planting much of the maize, the plot beside, and now they had to plant much of the sugar. So the conman was there whenever he passed, talk about, oh, tata, oh, how salimia mama, greet your mother, greet your father, oh, you know, are you still going on with the milk delivery? No. Such kind of the words. But right today, it was just the day that it was being waited for, because they came very minimal to make sure that they are understanding me, and so they can just understand them. Because how the order is talking about we have just given only 1 week, so they can just talk about they're gonna be kicking off the sugar plantation, and we go on with our own cultivation. The fact is they had to call us on themselves, so they can just negotiate and make sure that they are just paying a lot of money that we are just talking about they have to pay. The fact is when this kind of the people, and this is the fact I'm telling you, there are so many people who are talking about this kind of the crazy family have debts. There are so many families crying outside here. They are talking about, oh, they have my money, they have bought a land without paying, they have done this one, they have done this one. So the real fact is that they want to take over that kind of the zone, so they can just bring Europeans to take over the game. But the fact is we are still standard, because I'm the one who is very beside, talk about a very big neighbor to the Master KG. I talk about the fish pond and that kind of the plot. The good fact is that we are trying to achieve it. Even me, I'm trying to make it happen. Not the way that, oh, I should be fooled, oh, into because of the shout out. Much of the people, I saw it from myself. I saw very many people bringing chicken, bringing goats, bringing cows, bringing shoppings, sugar, bananas, every kind of the asset, because you have to bring them so you can just be given an appointment. If you don't have them, you are nothing, you are worthless. I'm telling you that as a fact. So I saw it because I was there. And whenever somebody wants something from you, you have to understand that that kind of person lowers herself or himself so they can just get the attention from you, so they can just work for them. So what is coming out is I've already absolutely understood that this is the strategy they needed, and I had to make sure that I'm still stick to my own opinions and my objectives, that I will never sell it, and I cannot sell it to anyone at whatever cost it comes. So it started in a way that they had to come down low, get into there, and I saw when this kind of the people, they were just bringing goats, and they were given much of the shout out, one shout out. And whenever this kind of the people, because they had a platform, talk about the WhatsApp platform, that they were just communicating that, oh, whenever I give somebody a shout out, you just go in. And whenever I say that, go out. So it is it's just a come and go, come and go, come and go. So it was so flabbergastic to me. And I understood it, because if I just take this kind of the people, talk about Chris Muniko, talk about Iteme 001, talk about Ken Gore, talk about Machacha, talk about what kind of this kind of the boys here. There's so many boys who are just there. Eve Ishauna. Talk about all of those kind of the people. Not forgetting, talk about Strongman 254. Performed there. And at long last, he was just thrown out. Talk about One Drop. He ever performed a magic there. But at long last, outside. Talk about Jamie. She was there and making sure that everything is so fantastic. She was thrown out. Talk about this kind of the man from the US who bought much of the motorbike to Hello Baby. Talk about... what's the name of that kind of the person? I'm forgetting a little bit the name, but you can just understand those kind of the people. Talk about Mr. Stefan. He was given such kind of a way, and he brought much of the things here. But at long last, he is never even mentioned that he ever helped this kind of the thing. Talk about who else? Talk about Mama Gift. Look at those kind of the people, and you can just open up yourself. Talk about he's there to use you at a specific moment, and whenever things are just getting worse, you are thrown out like a sarcasm. So that is the things that are making us not to engage in such kind of the postquams and the lukewarms of the way. So I have to stick on my way and talk about this is the way we have to get forward. But much of the people right now in the field, they've been lured with much of talk about liquor. And you have seen much of the small boys whom they ever go to their fathers, talk about, hey father, I want a land, and you are just gauged, you and your father, you are just going to liquor, and whenever you come, you start fighting, talk about, I want my land, I'm now a big man, I want my land, I want to do this, I want to marry, I want to do this, I want to sell a land so that I can just construct, I want to sell a land so that I can just give out, talk about a dowry, I want to sell a land so as I can go back to school, I want to sell a land so I can just take my wife to talk about the college, or I want to send I want to sell the land because the life is becoming bitter and becoming so hectic. The economy is booming. So how can I get much of the money? So much of the boys engage themselves into liquor, and when they engage in terms of liquor, and they're just liquored with this kind of the people, they talk about, hey bro, can you sell me the land? And they send much of the people that, oh, can you just go and test the Gintu if you can just sell the land? And it's that kind of the person who is coming, he understands that, oh, Gintu is a liquor guy, oh, Gintu like girlfriends, oh, Gintu like this kind of the ladies, oh, Gintu like to go to this kind of the place, oh, Gintu like this one. So they come while they have spotted you already. Whenever they come talk about, oh bro, I want to spoil you today, and we talk about, oh, right, yeah, let's go and spoil ourselves. So whenever you go, you find that they're just liquoring you. And also if you want much of the girlfriend, they are buying you ladies there, they dance for you, they put the buttocks, shakere, swing there like something else, swinging like something else. And whenever they now finish making sure that they are start booming. Now you talk about, yeah, you know, we pay for you and you do this and you do this. You talk about this. Now the friend is this one here. So they start telling you that, bro, you know, you should look for the money. You know, money is everything here and you can just enjoy here and there. And what comes out next is that they are telling you that you can sell me that kind of the land, bro. Sell that land, man. You see the life how it is, and you have just danced, you have just gone with much of the ladies here and there, you have just started booming. You are talking about, now this is the life for me to go, and you defend yourself and you get yourself inserting yourself in such kind of the osquam already, and there's nothing can just happen whenever you have already inserted yourself in. You now think about, oh, now what am I going to do? This is the life for me to go. You have been introduced 2 to 3 days, and the money is coming from the person who is intending to buy that kind of the land. And you find yourself talking about, yeah, I have a piece of land, I can just sell, yeah. How much right now? Because that kind of an area, it's looking like a center of the business of appreciation of the lands. So I have to sell 100 by 50 and hear about that one. And I want to make sure that that kind of the money, I'm going to be having half of it for dancing and half for it to make sure that I'm constructing a home. I want to migrate from my father's home. Yeah, bro. And some of the people always come out and tell you that, you know, you are now a grown-up man, and what you have to do is you have to add yourself. You know, you have stayed until your father they are Indian and you have a wife here, so you can just have your own land there, man. Go and tell your father give you the land, and you'll just construct, sell a little bit, and bring the dowry, just buy the dowry, talk about the cows, and talk about whatever gonna be remaining. Make sure that you are doing what? You are inserting where you can just build a small home. That is what that family is using. And that is the strategy. And much of the boys that have developed in such kind of a character, they have sold much of the lands that is now affecting themselves right now. And they sold, and there's nothing they did with that kind of the money. They just danced, they used in girlfriend, they used in the clubs, bars, traveling from one place to another, hiring vehicles, hiring motorbikes, and doing much of the unnecessary. At long last, you eat the money, it's now finished. finished. They remain with the land, and already you have just sold until we're outside. Look at the one man who is now having a burial ceremony here. He talk about this kind of the family just dragged him and liquored the guy, and he sold everything he was having. And right now it's a land that's being used, and told that, oh, this kind of the land is gonna be for a subscriber who will be supporting me muchly. I will be gifting much of my subscribers some lands from here, and right now I've given this kind of the land to somebody, and this kind of the person has sent me money so they can just buy fruits and buy this and that and this. But at long large, whenever this kind of the person has died, again you talk about, oh, I was the last person who bought this kind of the land. You have to absolutely bring a small piece so they can just compensate that kind of a person, so they can just be buried there. But now you want to negotiate again, even the burial area, talk about a grave area, you want to negotiate that this kind of the person should not be, because whenever this kind of person will be buried at the same spot, that land not belongs to you already, because it belongs to somebody, and that kind of the person who wants to stay there will be staying at somebody's grave, so it will bring much of the problem. So that is the fact that is going around even right now. So they have just decided, talk about Master KG has decided to take much of money and lure the brother and talk about, hey bro, I want you to give us a small piece, and is the one to cater for that kind of the burial ceremony and bring the body from like 50 kilometers from here, where the guy was found dead in the lake, and now to be brought home and be buried. And it can never be allowed. Much of the people don't know this kind of the secrets, how they're just performed outside here. It's good to come out and I tell you that this kind of the things are happening, and they're happening for sure. That much of the things, how they're just working grassroots, and they will never, because much of the things that are coming to you, they're already sanitized, and the program is sanitized in a way that whatever comes out is already gauged, that this is for the subscribers, this is to remain at our home, and gauge everything you're going to be getting forward. So that is the brim spot of how the things are getting. So when you just see much of the people outside, you don't think about the just people who are all humanity, they are this way. No, much of the people, it's a man-eat-man society. Whoever is talking about, oh, you know, I'm supporting this one, I'm supporting, in which, because it must come with a condition, and that is the real fact about it. Much of the YouTubers are giving you conditions that, oh, you know, I'm struggling with your son, or after there, you can just get me a small piece of land down there, and that's the fact. Look at all the families that Master KG has bought much of the lands alongside the river. Both of them, it's not their land. They bought from this kind of the families. Talk about the Mugesi family. Ask about how did it reach until he bought where he came to Ernesto's family and bought that kind of the land. It's because of using that, oh, you know, Ernesto is in school, you have to sell me this kind of the land so you can just support yourself. Oh, you have this kind of the son, you have this kind of the ladies for you to take to school. There's Obasa to go back to school, there's Ernesto to go to college. Oh, you know, this kind of the land will help you, and whatever is you have is what will help you. Yes, whatever you have will help you, but at long large, they have something to entail. And at long large, Ernesto was kicked out of even the villa, and talking about you are never allowed here because of what? Because they understand that now you are not important to them. They have already put a perimeter wall. Now you have nothing to offer to the society. Whenever they talk about we are just, oh, you know, I was the one paying much of the fee, always is coming, oh, your mother was coming here. Oh, if your mother was selling much of the things during the construction, or talk about the villa was in construction, your mother is going there to sell much of, talk about the tea, talk about luncheon. So is that a way that a person can come and tell you that, oh, you know, your mother gave her the chance so they can just sell? Are you the one to provide that kind of the food, or the mother who was providing the food and cooking and selling to that kind of the people? So sometimes you are being forced in a way that they want to pump stupidity into our minds, but they don't know that we learned not in a way that of the millennial. Maybe we are the Gen Zs who are just understanding what is coming out. Even the Alpha will just understand that this is a trick they want to give us. So sometimes much of the boys, they have been lured into the character of liquor, so which is now defaulting their mind, and they're talking about, now I want to sell a piece of land because the life is hard. The life is hard. You don't have a wife already. The life is hard already. You have not even built something. You have not even gone to talk about, I'm trying to make it. Your land is just stacking there, and you have not planted anything. You talk about the life is hard, and you have no wife. You are depending yourself like a panga. You are talking about, oh, you know. Sometimes that is the way much of the boys are being got and transformed in such such kind of a way. So when it got to me that they thought about, oh, now start tricking, they started luring much of Gake, talk about Gake, talk about Gitiribo, so as they can just track me, and also Kibe, and talk about, oh, can you just go with the Gintu here, see whatever he likes mostly, and come and tell us, so you can just increase the increasement of that kind of the area. So they never got me, because whenever they talk about Gintu, they talk about Gitiribo was tracking me that, oh, Gintu, you know what, I want you to take my motorbike. Now we will have to use the motorbike of Kibe to talk about Antarctica, so they can just go to a club here, go to a certain place here, to go to this certain place, and I was there to make sure that everything is so fantastic, so they can just see what Gintu does use in the hotel mostly. And when we go to a club, talk about the dancing, is Gintu liking much of the ladies here? Is Gintu liking this? So they can just understand and be lured that, oh, you know, I'll do this one, I'll do this one. And even, I'm telling you this as a fact, there's a day Master KG himself came and talked about, hey Gintu, I heard that your area is bringing some problem. There's a time I was shooting much of the videos, and I ever talked about my fish ponds there, they have a problem of insecurity and predators and such kind of the thing. I imagine he came and told me, and they came with Argentina longnose that day, and they came and told me that, oh Gintu, you know, I want you to plant much of the trees here. I will help you to plant the trees alongside the river, because we want to preserve our rivers, so I want to help you plant much of the trees. And how much is the poles of the cedar poles for you us to put the fence? And he was about to support me, and I'm telling you that as a fact. He came and told me that that one I'll just do for you, and just a little bit, give me next month, and we will buy. Go and budget. Guys, I'm telling you the fact. I came and I wrote a budget. I thought about it was ever to help me put the fence. And they talk about not the perimeter, but it was a barbed wire. And even he told me that Gintu go to Maroa stores. Talk about there's a very big hardware in Migori called Maroa stores. Go and check how much is a pole. Talk about a post pole for cedar. And also, hey, the dogs here, they're just making sure that they're putting down this kind of, yeah, they're just bringing some chaotic things here. So that is the fact that he came and told me that, oh, you know, Gintu, you know, go and just ask for the cedar poles, and also go and ask for the barbed wire, how much does it cost, and also come and tell me, write the whole budget. And I'm telling you, I wrote a budget, and whenever I just presented it there, I was told that to give it to Alex. I don't know if Alex got it to Master KG. I don't know if it went there or how it went, because the last time I met with before Alex could just be taken out of the villa, I asked him, hey, I gave you the other day the letter here talking about the budget of putting the talk about a fence onto my own fish ponds there. Where did it? Oh, I gave it to him, and I gave it to Argentina longnose. I don't know if Argentina was around or whatever was there. So I told me that, hey, I brought it there. I gave him. You understand how Alex always talk about, hey, Gintu, I cannot lie you, man. I gave it to him. Yeah, I gave it to him. And I talked about, okay, let me now process. Then a little bit, he came and told me that, oh, you know, you need that kind of defense needs a lot of money. I don't know, it was like 45,000 Kenya shillings, something like that one. It was like 45 Kenya shillings until use of sand, put the concrete, and also make sure that the barbed wire is rounded all. And I talked about that was the cost of it. I thought 45,000 there, because it's in 2023. Sometimes recalling much of the things are gonna be hectic there. So I wrote a very good budget, and I talk about it was a quotation. Then I presented it. Then it was a luring measure that they had tricked Gintu to see that what Gintu does he like mostly, and he got that they have not got. So they talked about let's see whatever Gintu like mostly, and I was talking about one day I'll just make sure that I'm putting a fence onto my own fish pond. Then so he understood that maybe Gintu is stuck to this kind of the points. Let's make sure that we're going to be presenting it. So the real fact, it was a cracker two of a moment, so they can just be lured and be making sure that they're going to be now tracking me, so they can just sell much of the land. But it was not at the vex. So when they saw that those kind of the tricks are not working, they had to make sure that they are just talking about, oh, Gintu, is it this way, and it was thrown out like Safari Rally. But sometimes it always comes back. Like today, I've just been called and talked about they're going to be negotiating much of the things here. But the influence they have is to make sure that they are just taking over the game. Because how they was speaking, they were talking about, you understand how the conduct always come. And was talking about, you know, was not facing me much directly, because they understand that we are having some misiriguas things here and there. So he was just facing the other people, talking about, oh, you know, even this kind of the plot, I wanted to make sure that I'm harvesting this kind of the sugar and paying this kind of the money, because now the business is not there. Even last time I planted sugar, it was not paying much, so I never had much of the money that I got. So this time round, I was targeting to have much of the sugar, and right now you see much of the boys, they are eating much of the sugar. So I talked about that's not my problem, but we had agreed. And he talked about, no, you are a kid, go zero. I talked about so sometimes we always talk about some of the things comes to the reality. So it will ever come in a way that some of the people who ever thought about it will be so hard, or it will be complicated. They'll ever come back to the root and make sure that everything is just successfully getting to the far brim point of here and there. So the good fact is that everything is just sorted out, and we are just making sure that waiting for the money to arrive and make sure that everything is just very fantastic. But how we understand is every time complaining about the economy is bad, fluctuation of prices, the economy is bad, Yes, it's bad for everybody. But you have something you ever agreed and talked about, you have to get this kind of the thing. And it was about talk about, yeah, you know, even this kind of the sugar, they are so slender, oh, there was no rain. So am I the one to provide the rain for you? So sometimes it's becoming so hectic and confusing to much of the people. So whenever everything is just getting forward, I always promise much of the people that we ever get to the brim spot of getting everything forward, and forward is ever coming to us. So keep it tuned, and much of the things are going to be coming to live, which is one-on-one. I'm going to be checking about the G Castle there and checking what's really happening to the G Castle and what is getting to the brim spot. I have another gentleman here, and he's just coming to the spot right now. So how are you, man?
Wagwan.
Everything is good?
Everything is good.
Yeah, you understand yesterday it was a problem, man.
Yesterday was you went there and hit like German.
Yeah,
like
a German machine.
Even you gave my video
a copyright. But the good thing is now they had to listen to me in your video. And now my video was no longer available because
actually,
it cracked off.
Actually, the comment section was gain to.
You understand? You understand the real fact is I had made sure that the video gonna be coming so fantastic because it was the first time I went to the fish ponds, and it was the time talk about like 1 month, because I was attacked while I was at the fish pond, and I ran and I left this kind of the stand.
Yeah.
Then the good fact that came out is they took the stand and they went. So I was going back to make sure that I'm checking whatever has happened there a little bit, because I was being tracked, because if they could get me back again, it could be cracked. They could have sealed all the spaces that I could just use. So
yeah.
it was the time that I could just give you the factual about from the fish pond, from whatever was just being handled. But today I went there very early in the morning to make sure I'm just sorting much of the things here already. So everything is just getting to its own brim point, and we are back to the session. So how is everything
We
going?
already vocalized on the video and we watched until the end.
Oh, you have watched it already?
And I heard you saying about the Master KG was having a plan of putting a perimeter wall on that fish pond.
No, a fence, a barbed wire.
A barbed wire fence.
Yeah, it was a trick, because during that time, he was ever talking about, oh, Gintu, I want to support you. Put the fence, talk about this kind of the barbed wire around your fish ponds here. But it was a trick. So when I now sat down and I started talking about what is the return, because everybody has a return. Talk about now I will help you this way, and there's a return that's gonna be coming. Like there's a time that much of the people, they were coming with chicken, they were coming with goats, What is the return? They wanted a shout out. After you getting a shout out, what next? You will never come back again. He's done with you.
Now he was tricking you so that he can take
he can take whatever you are having and make sure that he's using you, and just sometimes he was ever even forcing much of the people.
Even me, I was asked, I was told that make this gate, and the final day that you are fitting the gate, I'll give you your shout out.
Was it a goat?
No, your shout out. But when it came to that time, I was like, I finished the gate now. Where is my shout out?
He started much of the things. Talk about now Duke.
What did you bring?
And no, now Duke, you are now cornering my work. Now you are doing this one, you are doing this one, so as he can just and not give you whatever you want, so as you can just talk about let it go. So that's how the things are. So you have to understand the tricks, because to the real fact, whenever I was just talking to much of the people and for them to understand how they have been using much of the people so they can just get the lands, is a way of understanding the person. If I just come to you, they just use me and talk about now, because we want that land of Duke there, so can you tell us what Duke like? I talk about, oh, Duke like ladies. If you buy him some ladies in a club, he dance. Liquor.
I don't like
example. I'm giving an example. So I'm telling you the real example, what I saw them doing to much of the boys in the village, and at long last they started talking about, bro, you understand, now you have that kind of the plot, why can't you sell? Because now you have married, you are staying to your father, so it's becoming stupid. So for you to get out, man, sell a piece of land here and construct a very good house, and some money, pay for dowry, so as you can just make sure you talk about, by the way, you are my best friend, man. You have given me. So how
the best advice?
The best advice is now. Then you tell me that how much do you see? Let's go there and see that kind of a, how do you see this kind of a piece of land? I can sell 50 over 100. How much does it? And you understand the area now, like right now your area, it's having much of the YouTubers have ventured there. So you're going to be increasing, appreciating in terms of the cost. So you talk about, let me sell 100 here. This one will be enough for me to construct a house and live and plant some maize here and
so
put a kitchen garden.
I be left with 100 and I sell 100.
Yeah, that's the fact. Then you tell me that, how much do you see, man? You can advertise much of the people. Then I'm sent. I will go back to Master KG and tell me that I box already, man. So you just bring 500,000 here, and everything is so fantastic. We go and write. So that's how they use them. Not directly, but indirect. The way the government of the Britain used Kenya, indirect rule and direct rule at the same time. I talk about northern Nigeria. They use indirect rule and direct rule at the same time. So they could just come themselves. Sometimes they could just come one-on-one to your father. Hey, like your father is a Kisii, they talk about Kisii, so, and him is a Kisii, so you can just negotiate very well. Talk about the language here and there, and they just come talk about even if Duke there, talk to him, because the life is very hard, easy. You understand? And they can just come, so he can come direct. Or he can just use a person. So that is the trick that is being used. Look at the plot they have just already buy here. And I'm telling you that there's a person who has already died. Do you understand that one? From the village there? You never asked me. You never asked me, man. There's a person who has died there.
I heard from your video.
And that person, Master KG, bought the whole of his land. Talk about the upper section. If you can just remember, there's a land he bought and talked about, I'm going to be giving to my subscribers.
Oh, the guy who was not living in the village, who was living outside.
Yeah, the far end, and they bought the whole land and talked about him is planting fruits there. There's a subscriber who has sent me money to plant him this kind of the piece of land, some fruits. If you can just remember, even me, I was part of the program to plant the fruit there. I was me, Gitiriva, Gake, and also Mawera was around. I can just remember. And the work was given to Alex also, so you can just take the fruits and plant them there. So I can just remember that spot. So that kind of the boy has died, because whenever he sold the whole of that land, he went.
And he ate all the money?
Ate all the money outside there, and now he was found Lake Victoria dead. So the good fact is, now they have talked about where to be buried, because he sold the whole land from his own home and bought the land at the upper area. So that was the only land that he was owning. So he sold that one. It was the last one. And to the career and to the how the things are going in terms of the culture and the norms, it talks about the last plot, that whoever you sold to the last plot, until it's you know that it's like right now you come, I have a small piece of land, then you tell me that, can you sell me this kind of the land? Then I sell you the whole of it. Where do you want me to go?
Yet I know that
that's the last plot.
Is the last plot.
Yeah, that's what is bringing now the problem. So right now there's so many shenanigans there, and nobody will be told, because they want to handle it equally and make sure that he has already talked about Master KG has already lured the brother and talked about can you give us a piece of land at your area and you can just buy it, and he's the one to take care of that body and come back and make sure that it's buried in brother's home. So the good fact is they're going to be sorting themselves and making sure everything. So that's how much of the boys are being lured. Look at even that boy, he was lured with liquor. So that is what is bringing the problem. So when I ever came out to talk about
the money that he was given was not catering for that plot, or it was enough for that plot and the price of the area.
Sometimes I'm telling you, you will never be told. If you go direct to the books, you'll get that even they have some of the pending bills to this kind of the people. And sometimes whenever you hear that there is a witchcraft, it's already persisting. It's there. Witchcraft is there. You can be given money and lost. And you will go and nobody will never tell somebody that I have a death there. You will go and die and they will take over the game that way. So that is always available. So that's why we want to be so careful about this kind of the gentleman, because of those kind of the things. Whenever you're talking about going to be fencing my old fish ponds, it was to get the land that is just at that far end, so as I can just lure my father and talk about, hey father, you know, that kind of a person is a good man, he has employed me, or I'm just gaining, has just introduced me to YouTube, you understand? And I lure my father, very fantastic, 2-3 words here and there, and make sure that my father is inbox. Then we talk about, let's go and sell that kind of the land, because even it's a small one, it's like 150 by 100, so there's no problem. It's a very small piece and we can go. And he was telling me that you just ask him how amount of money they want, your father want. Then I talked about what do you want to do there? He told me that I want to be building there A-shaped be Airbnb. And I talked about Airbnb. And I was telling me how the structure was. I want to build there Airbnb, and at the top there, whenever you sit at the top, I will be checking onto my field here, how the animals are grazing, how the landscape has been done, because that kind of the plot is spotting even the bedroom where he's sleeping. So you can even see.
Yeah, it is direct and it is on an upper,
very direct and in an upper section. Yeah. So he was ever needing such kind of a space. So when I said no, hey, the economist started talking about, you know, now, you know, we'll never stay here for a long period of time.
Which means that they had already had that conversation themselves.
They wanted now to kick Ginto out because I have just refused that kind of an offer. So to the real fact is I'm not supposed to be in such kind of a scenario, but I am just a standardized guy and I understand what comes on. Introduce yourself. Much talk.
Yeah, Fundi Duke right here at the J Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fundi Duke, road to success.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm asking every day that I'm only left with the watch hours, so that I can be a member of YouTube.
Exactly.
I'm eagerly waiting for that monetization, please. I'm seeing much of the people are coming inside and watching my videos through the playlist.
Yeah.
And the watch hours is just rushing. I'm almost there, guys.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm only left with just a quarter of it. So that we can celebrate that monetization.
The monetization hour, yeah.
So go check Fundi Duke. Fundi is F-U-N-D-Y. Duke is D-U-K-E. Go check me out, and if you are new there, please consider subscribing and watching the video to the end, and like the video, and also leave a sweet comment down there for motivation so that I can vocalize with so many more videos
to come.
Yeah,
and everything gonna be so fantastic. So you guys keep it tuned, keep it locked. Much of everything gonna be coming to you live, which is one-on-one, and I respect much of how the things are just moving, and we are ever moving in a pace way that this is the motive way for us to go. So keep it watching, keep it vibing, and much of the video gonna be coming like Safari Rally every time and then. Because right now here, I was demoralized yesterday, the whole of the video went, but I can talk about the memory card was shenaniganing, but no problem about that one. So we're gonna be sorting it out, and everything's so fantastic. So keep it tuned, keep it locked. Much of the thing gonna be coming to you live. I'm gonna be now checking out to the G Castle and see where we have just reached, because I talked about we are in the Cobraization in terms of that kind of the G Castle. So let's go and check the spot. Oh, Gintu, this kind of the pillar is gonna be plastered. No, this kind of the pillar gonna be gypsumed. That's what we call about gypsuming. And talk about the gypsum is applying the gypsum onto this kind of the pillars and be smoothened very easily. They're going to not be plastered because of the smoothness that they are prevailing with it. So I see much of the people now, they are learning much of the session here. I think about the learning session here, but everything is so fantastic. You have much of the things to entail. So when we go to the master bedroom here, it's already very fantastic because you can now see a whole of it's now already plastered, a whole of it, and everything is so fantastic. Look at this kind of the section. Talk about the loo. It's here, and everything is looking so fantastic. And now we are just at the end. So this is just going to be coming to the end to make sure that they're going to be fixed very, very properly here. So much of the gentlemen here, they're working and making sure that everything is so fantastic. Guys, it's a rainy season. And it has rained cats and dogs. That's what I can just tell you, because we are having and we're experiencing much of the rainfall coming out from the G Castle here and all over of the Kuria West sub-county here, because we are experiencing much of the rain. So we are just talking about, thank you very much God for this kind of the opportunity. So what I can just go around so I can just check what's really happening. We have even this kind of the water. It's going to be coming in. Whenever I can step here, guys, I'm going to be finding it rough. So we have much of the water coming from that kind of the section. It means that those kind of the pipings now, they're just doing much of the work. Last time I said about the walls are having so wetness, and right now we don't have that kind of the wetness again. Look at this kind of the wall. Much of the people talk about, oh, Gint, why is it so wet? It's just the rainfall that just rained on it the other days, and because we had not fixed from the top. So right now we don't have any experience of leakages here, because we have sorted it out. Look at even this one here. It's just the pipes from the top of the deck, just getting water outside to this kind of the brim point here. So this one still, it has a problem. I'm going to be getting up so I can just show you. It's have a problem a little bit, not yet fixed. And I'm going to be getting to that kind of the position so I can just learn and see, so you can just know what is really happening to this kind of the point. So we are at the top here. Exactly. So what I mean, guys, look at this kind of the pipe. It has not been formulated already. So whenever this kind of the water is coming, it has not been formulated to this kind of the point, so as this kind of water can just come to the pipe. So it's not yet. So we are developing this kind of the structures so they can just be fixed to this kind of the position this way. So they cannot have much of the leakages or much of talk about the residues, not to get inside the pipe and clog it. So to the other pipings, you can now see they've been already formulated in a way that this kind of the water going to be flowing to the pipe already. So this is what I was talking about right now. We have already developed it. So you can even see from this kind of the point. So this kind of the water is now flowing to the interior of this kind of the piping. That is the best way ever possible. Look at even this one. It's already formulated that water cannot now leak to any kind of the way it's going to be looking like. Even this one, it's already formulated there. So the top here, we're going to be having, we are experiencing much of the leaves because of this kind of the tree. I understand we're going to be taking it out from this kind of the position because it's bringing much over there. It's only that we have a Wi-Fi cable that's passing here. We cannot have to contaminate it because it's so risky for us even to do what, to restore it again, because it takes a lot of time for us to fix it. So we're going to be making sure that we are having it fixed whenever we're going to be transferred to this kind of the G Castle. We're going to be taking it off and making sure that this kind of the branches are going to be fixed very properly, so we cannot have this kind of the dirtiness of the G Castle on top of here. So that is the main point that we're going to be taking, and everything is so fantastic because even inside it's not even raining. And we have fixed much of the errors right now, and we are just making sure that we are moving so protangulars and so extravaganza. So when I go down the stairs here, so I can just make sure that we are checking to the other panel and knowing what's really happening to the other sections and to the G Castle here. So when I go around, because we are having much of the water here, so it's the water that starts coming from the top. Much of the people told me that we're going to make sure that this kind of the water, it's just getting its own route and living, because we want to have this kind of the hole here having this kind of the clean water. It's very, very clean. Guys, I can just show you. It's very, very clean, very crystal clear. So this is the water that we need, and to make sure that we're gonna be having it very, very fantastic. You can even check how it's just coming out. And the rain is a little bit, and it's just drops. But here we are having so much water coming out from this kind of the section. So when I go around, so I can just check this kind of the hole. It's much of water is still available here, so it's clogging with much of water. But we will not